this past weekend we had Oleksandr Usyk winning the rematch over Anthony Joshua. Nothing really mind-blowing here for me, but what were your impressions of this rematch?
Well, it was great, man. It was not only was it a good fight, but it was, in my opinion, Anthony Joshua's best opportunity to catch Oleksandr Usyk slipping, and he didn't, but also it was as it unfolded with all the weird moments afterwards. It's kind of like a um, almost like a fishbowl, like a view inside. Hopefully, the viewers got from it, like, instead of like, oh, this guy's tripping out, they got from it like, wow, now I understand how hard these guys work, and like what happens when the other guy goes to the locker room, like, especially, like, it's not like I said, it's not like he didn't give a valiant effort, or he just went out there and got whipped. It was a tough fight for both of them, but then you got to see like the effects of the guy that didn't win. So
I think it's rare that we see that in real time like that. And I think also some of that is on Joshua, but as I've had some time now since the card, I feel like some of that is on the production. Like the you don't give up the microphone for a reason.
no,
You know what
dude,
I'm saying?
you can't, like, I've gotten robbed a couple times and tried to, like, like, hey, give me the microphone, and then I'm like, hey, and they just like cut it off, and the camera's on somebody else. They're like, hey man, what are you doing?
Yeah,
So like,
how many other fighters and how many other productions is a fighter gonna have an opportunity like, yo, and I'm saying this on ITR, but I was just like, yo, he Kanye Wested the shit out of him. He was like, I'm gonna let Usyk finish, but I'm just gonna give you my life story for 10 minutes here.
yeah, yeah, I'm gonna give you my life story. I'm gonna make it all about me, even though I didn't win. And then now that's when it really got weird, because I understand what he was doing as far as like, hey, because when he was walking to the dressing room, they started booing him, and it struck a chord. When we know he's a very emotional guy, so he wears his feelings on his sleeve. So he's like, what, like almost like you can see like the little cartoons above his head, like what he's thinking, because he's looking out like, and he's going, what, like you guys are booing me, like I'm AJ, like. Then he goes, it's like almost like WWF. He goes back and goes to the ring, and here's where I thought, just like you, like, oh, they're gonna be like, hey man, yeah, hey, yeah, we see you, hey, yeah, good, but no, you're not getting a microphone. You know what I'm saying? Because I heard him say, hey, give me a microphone, and then I'm like, oh, they're about to be like, oh, get the hell out of here. This is about to like turn into a spectacle or something for a second, but nothing like it did. Dude gets the microphone, they leave it on, and there was a lot of uncomfortable moments, even with Usyk, like where he kept like hugging Usyk, and Usyk, you could see the frustration in Usyk's face, because you got to remember, this is a guy. He got countrymen and family members and everybody still at war right now. That's the only thing he's thinking about. This victory wasn't like the moment after the victory happened. Probably like 5 minutes later, he was already thinking about this war again. So he's like, and I'm like, oh, he's about to blow up on AJ in a second. That's so. What did you think, though?
Well, I thought one of the things that I think it's important to remember is that Usyk doesn't really speak English. So he's
Yeah.
just watching this guy babble on, and he doesn't really know what he's saying. He hears the hip hip hooray, and he sees the flag and whatever. But I think mostly what he is he's just confused. He's like, all right, when is this guy gonna shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, and that's the thing that was crazy to me about it. It was just like the fact that he got the mic, the fact that he was able to walk away with the mic and walk around with the mic. I mean, he could have gotten out of the ring with it, it seemed like, where it was
Yeah.
just, now it's the AJ show, we're doing it on his terms. And the tradition is kind of always been they speak to the winner first,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
then once the winner has spoken, that's when you speak to the loser.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, I would have had less of a problem with it if he had waited for Usyk to do his thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because then it's just like he's had his moment. We've recognized that this is a really big accomplishment. This is really impressive. And then you can do what you want to do. But it was just And he knows. You saw in all the press conferences, like he knows he kind of fucked up a little bit. You know what I mean?
I didn't see the press conferences after that. I haven't paid attention to it since that Kurt Fafel, you know.
Nah, he knows, bro. He knows.
Yeah, that was crazy, man.
So
What
where I'm what I'm really curious about too is like there's been mixed reactions to the fight. There's I think for me, I'm really impressed with what Usyk is doing. I'm impressed with the coordination. I'm impressed with the foot movement. I'm impressed with how he takes away what you want to do, and that's really, I think, how he beat Joshua. It was just like he takes the jab away with the counter left and the left to the body. He's always circling the right. So I'm just like really impressed with what he's doing. And I think there's also a take that's hyper focused on Joshua's flaws. And while he's got some flaws, I just don't think the story of the fight is everything AJ did wrong because I think that takes away from what Usyk did. How do you view this fight? Do you view this as like I'm really impressed with Usyk, or as like Joshua's not fulfilling something that I don't know if he was ever going to fulfill anyway? But you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm actually that's a really good question, and I would say this because let's remember that Joshua came in with a new trainer in Garcia, and Garcia did a very good job of fine tuning a couple things with Joshua. I think Joshua looked better than the last time we saw Joshua.
I do
You know,
too.
his effective aggression was better. He was cutting the ring. He was in the pocket with this guy more instead of either like outside running or trying to bull his way in. He was like right there where in the high skill position where like he knows like, oh, he's gonna throw at me, I'm gonna catch, and I'm looking for opportunity. His defense was a lot better. Like, like I said, he was right there catching and countering and everything. And that was a testimony to actually how good Usyk is because he literally had to go through two more different levels to beat Joshua this time around. Like even with the output at the end, you know what I'm saying, the sharp countering, the effectively turning him to his right side all the time, to his lead side, like so he could tag and get away, and he had to eat a couple shots. So I think it was, I think a lot was lost in the fact with all, especially with all, the thing at the end, Joshua did a disservice to himself because, people probably would have gave him more credit, like, because they would have been talking about the fight. And then also the announcers would have had the time to point out the brilliance of Usyk and what he had to do, you know.
Yeah, it did ultimately just kind of take away from himself in a lot of ways. I did feel like the one thing I would have liked to have seen more is I just think he could have still been a little bit more physical. And you saw it in the eighth and ninth when he was throwing to the body that, you know, he has that ability to muscle you around. He has that size. He had, whatever, a 25, 30 pound weight advantage in this fight. So that was the one thing where I felt like he could have done it more. But I also think that that's somewhat a credit to Usyk because all of the weird shit he does, I think it makes up these. It's going to make all these guys keep their hands in their pocket
Mm.
because they don't know when to throw what because he's constantly changing the pattern. He everything you want to do, he makes it uncomfortable. I don't know, man. I thought a lot of it was just this guy has a level of coordination that we haven't seen at heavyweight in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. And even the other guys that we know that were his size and kind of like him, like let's say like Evander Holyfield, Tomas Adamic, or somebody like that, right? They may have a little bit of his cerebral knowledge and everything. They might be a little bit more bruising than him, but uh, his coordination and athletic ability, his even ability to handicap people is unmatched. I think, man. He's really a master boxer. And what's scary is like I said, he showed me like two more levels of that I never knew. That I'm like, oh, dang, this dude ain't even. begin to show everybody he's not even maxed out. This is crazy.
Right. In the 10th round, he opens up a whole new layer, like a
Yeah,
whole new year after he just got hit a lot by a big, strong power puncher. And the way he fought 10 through 12, man, that's also where he sold me on. I mean, I believed it before, but that's where he really sold me on his character, where it's like, damn, bro, he can dig deep. Even if you're whooping on him, this guy has it
yeah,
in dig deep. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
He has will and skill. That's what he showed. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, and that's what man. I like the fight, man. I actually need to go watch it again because like man, it was some scrappy moments, and Joshua it brought it for a couple of rounds of those middle rounds where he tried to make Usyk fold, man, and he didn't.
I think also he's not that they're similar fighters, but I don't think we've seen athletically somebody this way at heavyweight really since Roy. Like that's the timestamp I think of like Roy was really the last heavyweight that moved like a super middleweight. And I feel
Yeah,
like Usyk has some of that too, where it's just like he's doing shit that guys up above 175 cruiser, they really don't do.
yeah, 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 yeah. It is like as far as ability, like of course Roy Jones, pound for pound, and anywhere on the planet, like even athlete for athlete, almost has had some ability that humans just can't do. But I would I like and I know this is nobody likes to compare anybody to this man, but his athletic ability to me, especially in the ring, is more like Ali because of the natural fluent movement. It's not like there's a difference between being athletically able to do something, but it looks like kind of like irky jerky and tight and explosive, and being able to do it like you're doing like like a free spirited like a ballet dance or something, and
Yeah,
that's kind
he's like water, bro. He's like the
of
Bruce Lee. You know what I'm saying? He fills the teacup if it's a teacup. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, exactly.
Where do you see? All right. So this segues to another topic that I'm dying to know your take on. What the fuck is up with Tyson Fury, bro? What is this kid doing?
Oh man, you know what?
Do you think he just likes the attention? Because for me, it's like I've heard that theory and I hear that, but it's also like I don't feel like it has to be bigger than that, bro. Because if it was about that, he would have been in the ring after this fight screaming at Usyk, "You big fucking bum," and fight. You know what I mean? Like he would have been he would have been on that tip, and instead he's just like doing this will he won't they thing. What do you think he's fucking doing?
Man, it's actually building the fight if you think about it. And I don't know. Sometimes I think that he's one of the most brilliant people in the world. That he's doing this on purpose. But then the people that I know over in England that I've trained with and everything, when I'm over there, they keep reminding me that this guy is bipolar schizophrenic, like for real, like what I'm saying, diagnosed, like living with it, everything. So it's kind of like one of those things that on the outside looking in is a perfect storm, because it's actually promoting and driving the sale of this fight and the worth of the fight up. But he has to strike while the iron is hot. I think here with it because Usyk is in a war situation. You know what I'm saying? Usyk has also said that he's not gonna. He don't even want to fight no more if it ain't to fight Tyson. So when somebody says something like that and going through what he's going through, you have to understand that he may, ride off into the sunset and just retire because he has bigger things in life to deal with besides boxing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the untold stories of the entire thing, which I found that a little frustrating that everything in the build up. I talked about this in my article too on ITR, but I found it frustrating how everything in this buildup was about Joshua. It was like, how does winning affect him? How does losing affect him? What will he do if he wins? What will he do if he loses? What about his new trainer? So everything was directed at him as the star of the show. And you have this other guy who, if you look at his life situation right now, would be very understandable if he was just like, I can't handle a boxing career right now.
Yeah.
Saying that would be perfectly understandable if he felt that way. But he fucking got himself in crazy shape and won the fight with that kind of life circumstance. And it feels like that's been very
On
much
short
brushed
notice.
over.
On short notice too, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause I know if it was me, man, I would have told all the sanctioning bodies, like, I'd have had a letter written to him and been like, look, hello, I'm in the middle of a war, so go ahead and give a what they call that a champion in recess, or what is it what's the word I'm looking for?
I think that's what they call it.
No, they call interim champion. Go ahead and select the interim champion for every belt that I have. You know, let this finish. It should be finished in a year or so. Let's hope. Then I'll come back and fight each of defend against each of these interim champions. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would have told him, and I'm sure that's what a lot of champions would have told him. But that guy, man, that was and that's kind of where I went through a lot of different emotions during the fight. I wanted to talk to you about that because at first I'm like, oh, you know what? Just to stir stuff up, I want to see AJ win just to get his belt back and just to show people like, oh, maybe he's got a new leaf turned over and he's ready to make the climb back up the ladder again, right? And then as seeing all the stuff, all the war, all the the build up talk, like, oh, like what Usyk's been doing and everything he's been going through, and I was like, oh man, and I'm like, what I want to see, I just want to see a good fight. And then they start fighting, and then I start seeing all these levels of Usyk and what he's going through. And me and you, we understand, like, damn, he had to train pretty hard to be that sharp. And it's not like he just plugged into the wall and recharged and came back out.
And
Like
to
so.
take those body shots and take it
Yeah,
up another gear after that, like we said, that's the one where it's like his conditioning for this fight was fucking insane.
yeah. There was moments where I thought he was all of a sudden going to be done in, like when those body shots started affecting him in one round, and where he started getting hit and walked along the ropes a couple times in another round. I was like, oh, he might be getting ready to fall down or whatever, like, but no, he made it through, man.
It was really special, bro. How do you see the eventual fight with him and Tyson Fury playing out?
Man, it's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be a great fight in some regard, man. You know, Tyson is just like that possum that always gets away, bro. It's like he's very crafty, man, and I think because he's bigger and can endure more, and he's just as crafty, I would have to go with him.
I think, but like 6 months ago, I would have said that. And now with all of the retiring and unretiring, and I'm gonna fight Chisora. No, I'm not. I just think Usyk has this insane momentum behind him right now, and he's got that level of discipline, and you know what I'm saying. Like he's just really a sharp guy that you're not gonna catch him slipping. If he's gonna show up and fight this well under these circumstances, this is not a guy you're just gonna catch him slipping. And I don't know. I just wonder if Fury is is disciplined in that same way, to where he's going to be able to pin him down and lean on him and do the things that he's going to have to do. But I see what you're saying. He's fucking, he's 6, 7 inches taller and he's 50 pounds heavier. He's a massive dude. I think it's a great fight, but at the moment, my gut is telling me that Usyk's he's a figure out a way kind of guy.
Well, let me ask you this, because it's like what the average armchair always does anyway, right? But I'm just curious, and I just want to kind of look at something from a couple of different angles of comparison. Like, what do you think Tyson Fury would have done to AJ?
I think he would have bullied the shit out of him. I think he would have gone in the same way he did the second Deontay fight. I think he would have shoved him around. I think he would have made it uncomfortable for him. He wouldn't have given him any room. maybe he would have tried to slap box with him a little bit, but I just think for that fight, he'd bring the dog out.
And he stops him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. He stops him. So you say that, and you're like, wow, like if he can stop AJ, and then Alexander had like a little bit of a battle with AJ, and you have to look at it to examine this from this comparison on that angle. So AJ would be like a poor man's Tyson Fury because he's not as intellectual as Tyson Fury. He's kind of big, but not as big as Tyson Fury, you know. So Alexander kind of struggled a little bit in spots. Now you add the smarter, even bigger guy. He may struggle again and not get through, you know. So that's the way I look at it.
And you could be right, bro. I mean, that's entirely possible. I'm looking forward to it finally playing out.